Welcome to Judicial Dollars and Cents, brought to you by Anders Virtual CFO Services team from all across the United States. I'm John Scott, and in each episode, we'll shine a light on the financial side of the legal world, turning law firm numbers into impact-driven stories. From taxes and profitability to practice growth and leadership, we sit down with law firm innovators who are shaping the future of the profession. Let's dive in, right here on Judicial Dollars and Cents. Welcome back to Judicial Dollars and Cents, the podcast where we explore the business of law, the financial decisions behind successful firms, and the people who lead them with purpose. I'm your host, John Scott, with Anders Virtual CFO Services, where we help law firm leaders turn smart financial strategy into sustainable growth. Today, I'm excited to welcome a guest who embodies what it means to combine legal excellence with integrity and community impact. Brett Harrison is the founder and CEO of the Harrison Law Group, a premier personal injury firm based in Long Island, New York, with over 30 years of experience and more than $450 million recovered for clients. Brett has built a firm not just for results, but for compassion, discipline, and refusing to settle for good enough. Brett, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me, and you made me sound even better. Jeez.
Well, and you're currently in Florida, although you're escaping the cold of Long Island.
Of New York and Long Island, and where we did have snow and ice, but I wouldn't know because I'm not there.
How long are you going to be down there?
I've been here it'll be a total of 10 days.
Okay. I will join you in mid-January, but you'll probably be back home at that point. Hey, before we get into this, tell me your origin story. How did you become an attorney and why PI and why start your own firm?
Well, okay. Ever since I'm the youngest of three, and my dad told me I'm the second least handiest person in the world, that I cannot build anything. The only person that's less handy is those that think they can, but can't and mess it up. I countered that I am much better for the economy because I need people for each thing. I know that. To build anything, take apart anything. So at that point, I realized since I don't have those skills, I guess I might as well be an attorney at that point. And I just actually like helping people, and I like helping people not solve a storm, but kind of get through a storm, and initially I was doing criminal defense. And then from there, I had some partnerships and ended up mostly doing personal injury, which is all I do now for over 30 years. And it's interesting because I find most people, they're not happy generally to see a personal injury attorney because it wasn't planned. And it kind of turns your world upside down when you get into an accident. And most people kind of put their head in the sand. And it's typical because it's scary because your health, your family, your finances, as you know, John, most people don't have trust funds, and most people are month to month, paycheck to paycheck. It gets expensive. So something like this could really, an accident could, depending on your vocation and what you do for a living, could really impact you, your family, your health, your future. So it's pretty serious, and probably why for my law firm, we follow, when you walk into my office, we don't have a picture of George Washington crossing the Delaware or Abe Lincoln and that type of nonsense. I have something on the wall that says HOPE on an angle, which stands for help one person every day. And then we also have something on the other wall that says care, connect, commit. And I think that's the secret sauce that I've learned after understanding what people really need, and my experience and exposure over 30 something years to, I believe what people really need, which is, listen first. Let people listen and give them confidence that you understand them and that, their case to them is big. And I don't like when they characterize and say, well, it's not your most important case. It's not this. I said, don't say that. It's important to you, isn't it? Has impact to you, So I think the secret sauce, to be honest, is, for me, out caring and being addicted to hope. But probably the most important lesson is is about hiring the right people and the right staff, because I think you can have your personal values mirror and outshine even in your business too, if you hire the right people based on your values. And I think that's the most important thing, is that your standards are only followed by as much as the people you hire. Because if they're below your standards, then you're never going to reach your standards. So really, I think the most important thing is having the right team behind you, because I've found, and in my office it also says in big bold letters, success is a team sport.
I love the fact that you're building a firm and hiring people that share your values, and you're building that culture that the firm then has those same values. And as you expand and get bigger, you can keep that. I also love the fact that you're paying attention to each client and making them feel like they're the most important case. Even though you have many client matters, you can make them feel like they're the most important. And I love the fact that the world is built on specialization, and a man has to know his limitations. So when you and I can change a garbage disposal, but it's going to take us 4 times the time. It's going to be a little bit of cursing, a lot of mashing of knuckles, and it might leak at the end. So you go do what you're good at, and then hire that person to do what they're good at.
And I think you learn it the hard way. It's nothing they teach you in law school. I think it's just kind of life experiences, that you can't do everything yourself. And it's not even smart to do it, to be honest. And I think you got to realize, stop with waiting for perfection. The only thing you could do perfectly is nothing, and you don't even know when you're done. So I think it's real important to realize, focus on, let's get it done as best we can, and let's put our energies to where you're most valued, and put the right person in the right seat on the bus in your office. And let's train them. And I think, if I can, I guess I'm going a little bit differently, but I can't tell you how important the right team is, because I think most firms, I don't care what business you're in, whether it's law or whatever, I think their biggest asset is their staff. And I find most firms and businesses never ask, what can we do better? What ideas do you have in this fast moving economy and marketing? They never ask the people that are on the front line dealing with their own staff. It's such a valuable asset. How can we improve things? How can we make it better? What do we need to take out? So I find I do that once a quarter. We sit down and I said, just tell me what you think. What do you think? Give me some ideas. Because I think when you ask your staff and you say, you're asking them for their input, they feel valued. And boy, I'll tell you, when people feel valued, and it's okay to say, no, I don't like that idea, or they can tell me, no, that's not a good idea because, or, and typically as an owner, I think something should take, 45 minutes. In reality, I'm not the one doing it, to realize, well, they have phone calls, they have this, they have that. And they tell me, are you out of your mind? It's going to take at least a day and a half. So I'm like, oh, wow, okay, not a good idea. So just because I have the degree and the education doesn't mean I understand everything. You learn from people, and you learn from your staff. And when you can trust them, man, it's such a win, not only for us, me, it's also a win for the company. It's a win for them feeling personally, and it's a win for the client. So our job, this is going to sound odd, for each job that we have, besides constant training, we define what winning the day is for each person in the office. And when you can win each day, not doing 100 things, that's ridiculous. We all have that checklist, and we put 50 things down and we never get to any of it. Let's just master the mundane. Let's just figure out those 4 or 5 key things that if we win and everybody wins, we win the day, we win the week, we win the month, we win the year. That's winning. That's winning on its highest level.
You said 2 words there that really are resonating with me. One was trust. You trust your people, and you are empowering them to do what's best for the client and best for your firm. And that trust is going to go a long way to making you successful. And the other is training. training is a big thing that I see a lot of professional service firms, whether they're accounting or law or architecture, engineering. You have to train the younger folks to replace you so that you can go and do higher level things. And one day be able to walk away and have an organization that lives beyond you, not because of you. That's called working on your business. And I want to talk about that. How do you know, you're like many attorneys, probably don't have an accounting or finance background. You're very smart at what you do, but running a business is different than practicing law. And it is a business. You're in this to make money. So how do you approach, what KPIs do you look at? How often do you look at your financial statements? Walk me through that.
That's definitely been an evolution, I would say. And the best advice, and it's helped me so substantially, is I hire people a hell of a lot smarter than me, which I'm not saying is hard, but they specialize in certain aspects, whether it's a CFO, an accountant, or a CEO, and I meet with them twice a month for an hour on Zoom. And sometimes we get together in person as well, and conferences. If you want to do better, don't surround yourself with people below you or even with you. Surround yourself with smarter people, people that have been in the road that you want to get to, because they've already coming back from it, so they can guide you. And that has been immense for me. Immense. It's taught me what a difference is of business from working on the business or in the business and just having a job, and actually really running a business with a 30,000 square foot view, a view to understanding goals and measurables. And I think it's so important. And I'm not even just saying this because I'm on your show, John. The most important people to me is my CFO. There's hands down, and I'll tell you that from now to the end. And that is the separator for me, that I know I'm going to beat most firms, because and I know that from that first minute they talk to me. What I mean by that is, when you meet attorneys, right? It's kind of like, when you're talking with them, it's about competing, and it's backhanded compliments. When I deal with CFOs and other business people, non-attorneys, there's a difference between compete and complete. When I deal with my CFOs, I'm being completed. I'm getting better. When I'm dealing with my own people in personal injury in my state, it's about compete. It's backhand slaps. And they're all about keeping everything to themselves. I'm not competing with them. I'm competing with the man in the mirror, which is me. I don't need the pressure of that. And so the first question I always get, and I know I'm already ahead of them, is, how big is your firm? And I laughed, and I was like, listen, this isn't a porno convention. It's about what's your percentage of profit? How profitable is your firm? So if you tell me how big is your firm, my question to you is, how profitable is your firm? What's your what kind of total owner benefit are you looking? What's your end game? Where you want to be in 1, 3, 5, 7 years? Tell me your key measurables for this year. What are the key 2 or 3 things that you're working on for the whole year? That's how winning is done. It's about game planning. It's not about, how can I be I'll say it in a proper way. I'm not relying on a whoosh and hope, because I'm not going to hope I'm going to be successful this way without a plan. If you just say, I want to make this much revenue, that doesn't tell me anything.
Right. It's not about what you bring in. It's about what you keep, and how do you get to your end goal.
And that's where I think why I love having my CEO and CFO, 2 very different people.
Yep.
Very, very different people. You need the plan. I don't go on emotion or gut. It just doesn't even make sense. You need to have a plan. Like, I know, I'll look at things and say, what's my pipeline for settlements for next year? How long is it on average taking me to handle this type of case with this insurance company as opposed to this one? Let's say it's a slip and fall, or is it a car accident case? Depending on, is it a nursing home case? Because I know I have different metrics on how long that should take me. So if I have 200 cases, let's say 500, doesn't really make a difference. I can say on average, it should take me 7 months, 18 months if it's in litigation, if it's not in litigation, if it's with this insurance company. So then I know I forward it. If it's going to 7 months, I forward it from when I get it and I put it 7 months. And I keep doing that. So when I can see where is there a potential shortage in 4 quarters, 6 quarters from now. And then I say, well, what did we do well this year? What are the 2 or 3 things we're working on? And you need, too many owners have it all in, they think they have it in here, but their staff has no idea what they're working on.
I love the fact that you forecast in that manner, because that's exactly how we do it in a PI firm. Is we look at the universe of the inventory of cases. We, with the attorneys, help assign values, and then we look at the life cycle of those different types of cases. Med-mal is going to take longer than an MVA, but we know when a court date is assigned that we're probably going to settle, or if we have to go to court, we'll go to court. But we know when that cash flow is coming based on the type of case. And it's not simple. It's not an hourly firm forecasting method where it's rate times hour, send out a bill, and in 40 days we get cash. But there is the ability to forecast in firms. And I've sat down with firms that, you get to December and you're trying to do tax planning and you say, okay, what's going to come in? And they pull out their legal pad and they start writing down case names. I'm like, no. We needed to go to the case management system where this data is already there. Or if it's not there, it needs to be there so we can push a button and print a report.
But you know what? It's not even just forecasting the cases. It's what else is coming in. Where is it? What channels is it coming in from? So like I'll look and I'll say, last year to this year, say 2025 compared to 2024, our net revenue went up 31.2%. Okay. Now, yes, I'm happy with that, but did we bring in the number of cases I projected? No. But why? Then I look at the why of things. Well, we decided we were no longer taking X type of case, so that we increase and focus, my staff focus more on shortening the time and maximize the average settlement value. And that went up by like 15%.
You're working smarter, not harder. That's great.
So, but it's got to be, you have to, I believe, and I think I learned this from watching enough and dealing with my CFOs, a leader, it's not called a world boss. They're called world leaders. And I really think leadership should really be called leader shifts. Being a leader means you're out front knowing when to shift. You see things that others don't. So your job, if you get your head out of what I like to call the $10 jobs that you do as an owner, which you shouldn't because it's just stupid. And you should really be about pattern recognition. What patterns are we noticing? Like I know which quarters I typically am slow. Like let's say I know first quarter will typically be 20% of my revenue for the year, where third quarter might be 31%. And what you need to do is see those patterns year after year. And what you do is you plan this with your CFO. I start planning in September and I'm pretty much done by the end of November. And what I mean by planning is I want my for example, let's say salary, my W-2s, including myself and family or whatever, to be at 34%, 37% or under of anticipated gross revenue. And I know total owner benefit with distribution should be this percentage. And then I'll say, I need my rent because I'm in a high rent area, as let's say, opposed to another state that maybe costs less. I need that to be between 4 and 7%. And I need to look at, I have percentages for everything and we put it in. I know that, am I in a growth stage or am I in a maintenance stage? And I'll say, I need to have my marketing, I need that to be, last year we put it at 25%. This year I need 22.5%. And the reason I can do it that way is because I took away other things because we had measurables and I said, this isn't working. So, and then you say, okay, how am I going to get to where I need to get to? How am I going to get to in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? If I'm wasting my time on something that makes no difference in 6 months, then I'm an idiot. If it's going to affect me in 6 months or a year or 3 years, that's what I need to focus on. Otherwise, my staff doesn't ask me, can we order paper from Staples or should we order from WB Mason? You know why? Because I don't care. I don't care.
You are speaking our language, because we at Anders focus on profit-focused accounting and paying attention to data and then pulling levers, right? If we know where we're forecasted to go and then we're paying attention to the current data and we're off track, we can pull certain levers. We can increase marketing. We can increase our efforts in this area, shorten the time that cases take to close to get back on track to meet or exceed that forecast. And by paying attention to data, you can, and use profit-focused accounting, you can get to your goals quicker.
God, you are exactly right. And the problem with, I don't care whether I can talk about law, but in general, is that too many attorneys and business people don't step back and only work on a handful of things so that they see, and they don't have goals that you must share with your staff. Within the first 2 weeks, I will lay out how much we need to do and break it down on the things we need to improve. And for example, I'll give you an example. This year, I want prior clients and professional referrals to be 25% of new cases each month. How are we going to do it? Well, there's different ways. There's different levers we can do. Where do I think I can get 6% better here, 7% better here, 10% better here? Where can I take this because it's really not working? And then I say, well, am I doing direct marketing or am I trying to brand myself? You know, because that will affect whether I do 70% direct and 30% branding. It depends where I think, and the length of that, and what will I deem successful in each thing, each area. And then I tell my staff, these are the 2 or 3 things we're working on. This is the goal. If we hit this number, you will get this much money and all your bonuses. If we don't, you know, just because time is changing, it's going to change anyway. It doesn't mean you've progressed. You need to define for them what progression is. And I think if you could do that, that's part of your job. You need to be the leader, but you don't need to always be out front. If you have a strong staff, it's amazing what they can accomplish. For example, I went away for 3 straight weeks in Europe this past summer. I checked in here and there, but
everything
you know what?
Worked out, didn't it? That's awesome.
Not only did it work out, it's amazing what do they call that? The mother of necessity, or things change and you don't, you know, we ended up making a small change because I was going to be away for 3 weeks that now has been so central in what we're doing this year that it's freed me up to put more effort into client and other aspects that I think in community building that I am so excited for. And, you know, it's been amazing when you realize you have to be open for change. You have to be pivot. Just because other people don't do it, I don't really care.
Brett, you're doing a lot of things right. And I love the fact that your staff buys into your goals, because then everybody's pulling in the same direction. Hey, I want to talk about competition. And in your space, Morgan & Morgan is the big gorilla in the room. They seem to be everywhere. How long have they been in your neck of the woods?
They're like that big shadow over your shoulder, but that's okay. I don't care. because
Well,
you know what they get. I forgot what it was. They get only of all the potential cases. I think in the U.S. they only get like 3 or 4%. And you know what? I'm not interested in beating Morgan and Morgan. I'm not competing with them. It's not. I wish John and his staff nothing but the best of health and continually helping people. But you know what? When people come into me and they say they got hit on this road in this town, I don't have to ask them, what state is that in? You know, it's a difference between local and national. Do you want somebody that understands and grew up the way you did? I do. Do you want someone where, you know, I'm not just this mythical figure, you know, almost like Oz in The Wizard of Oz, you know, I'm here. You can touch me. You can call me. I grew up with you. I understand why you need a car in Long Island and mass transportation won't do it. And you could tell me the name of a town, and I'm not going to ask, is that in Arkansas or Maryland? You know what I'm saying? So
I do.
so it's okay. I understand. You know what? To be honest, John, there's 1.2 million attorneys, maybe 1.4. I'm not for everybody, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. Because if I don't think, if you and I aren't on the same page and your expectations, or if you're treating my staff, let's just say not in the right manner, you know what? No hard feelings. Here's your file. You can go to another firm.
Yep.
Because
you got to protect your staff, and you want good clients.
You know, so I'm not threatened by that. I know what I can do, and I know what I stand for. And when you have the right staff and they stand for what you believe and they act accordingly, that's great. So my advice is, when you bring somebody in new, if you don't properly onboard them, well, you're setting them up to fail. But you know what? You could do everything you can, and sometimes people aren't a good fit. You can't have that one new person mess up the atmosphere and the community and the culture of what you have. I'm not afraid to get rid of people and give them, even if they just started with me, I'll give you 2 or 3 weeks. I'll pay you for it and say, listen, you know what? This isn't going to work for me for the following reasons, you know, but here's my input to you. And if I can help you with getting another job, let me know. It's not personal. You know, I'll be the first time. I'm not a not-for-profit. I am a for-profit person, but there's benefits to that. And I have to protect my staff. So if I favor someone that what I'll say is a C or D player compared to my A and B players, why am I putting all the effort into the D players? Because then they're going to say, my good staff is going to say, my A and B is going to say, well, if that's the standard, why am I killing myself? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do I feel bad for that person? It's not about feeling bad. It's not about emotion. It's what makes sense. What's going to give you the best value for your clients, because you don't want to lose your best people.
Right. And staff know when you're holding on to somebody who's not working out. I do love the Morgan & Morgan ads. I mean, they came to St. Louis with a big splash, and I promise you I will tie this story back. But I had a friend from college who worked in the restaurant business forever and finally hooked on with a company called Cordish. And Cordish builds these big entertainment facilities near stadiums. The one in St. Louis is called Ballpark Village, and it was a $100 million project. And I said to him one day, I said, you know, the other bars and restaurants in the neighborhood are worried about the effect that this is going to have on them. He goes, no. He goes, they just have to step up their game. This is going to be good for them because we're going to bring more people to the area, and it's going to be good for everybody. So to tie that back into Morgan & Morgan, they came to town. They flooded the airways with commercials and radio ads. Big is better. We're the biggest law firm ever. And there's another local firm called Brown & Crouppen, which is fairly large. It's St. Louis and Kansas City. And it was like an ad war. They were just going at each other. It was very entertaining for me. And the Brown & Crouppen guys have a podcast. It's a little bit off the wall, but I think Brown & Crouppen's response to it was stepping up and saying, you know what, big is not always better. Local is better. People that live in your community. Sounds like, your firm in your area. It's just firms step up or there is enough market share that you're not threatened by the cases that Morgan & Morgan is going to get anyway.
But you know, you have to evolve, and I find too many law firms are so slow to change. They just think it's been well, we just do it this way because everyone else is doing that, and I disagree. Like I had a meeting, I think it was about a month ago, and I explained to him why I'm so excited where we're going. As a matter of fact, you're gonna laugh, but I pulled out. Do you remember Dr. Seuss? Oh, the places we will go.
Oh yeah.
So I handed them each that. And I said, oh, the places we will go. And let me explain why. And I read each thing. Basically a shortened version of it. And I explained to them that in the Chinese, this past 2025 was the year of the fire snake. And that means shedding certain things. I took it to mean shedding your skin of certain things that didn't work and having the wisdom and the integrity to know what to shed. And this is the year, I believe, of the horse, the Chinese New Year for the horse. Yeah. And he said, you will see the places we will go, all the changes that we made. And I went through each of those things. But I also said, for each of you, I spend every year, I want to know about each of my staff. I'll ask them where the places they want to go, what's important to them. You need to understand their dreams because most people stop dreaming at 20. They just don't bury the body till 80 or 90. And I said, don't ever, ever be afraid to stop dreaming because then all you're doing is living the same 6 months for the next however many years you have left. And when you show people you care about their dreams, all the places we will go. And your job as a leader is you have the vision to help other people's vision, what they want in their life, become a reality. And I explained to them, don't ever be ashamed of your vision. Most people are seeing believers, including family. They won't believe you until they see it done. But that's why it's your vision. I said, and I think you need to share them what the vision of your firm is, how it will impact them. Because my thing was, and I told them, my goal is to have every one of them, legal, non-legal, all making 6 figures. But they said, but we don't, that's not typical. I said, I don't care. I'm like Henry Ford. Everybody said, well, how can you create a car or who's going to fix it? All these doubters, all the reasons why it can't be done. Why don't you, who's going to fix it? Who's going to make the tires? No, it doesn't work that way. Just because if Henry Ford didn't come up with the car, we would have been focusing on faster horses, what kind of food, what kind of hooves. But you know what? Don't be afraid to be the one. Be the one in your family. Be the one in your life.
Brett, I love your approach to your people, to your firm, treating law as a business. It's been great. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you kind of an off-the-wall question. Are you a football fan?
Yeah, yes, I'm a suffering New York Jet fan, but don't hold that against me.
So I was going to say college or pro, and you've told me pro. So who do you see in the Super Bowl this year? I'm a Chiefs fan myself, so we're on our 3rd string quarterback, and things aren't looking good.
I see. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I want to see Chicago. I want to see Chicago get there. And on the other side of the coin, I don't know if it's possible, but I'd love to see New England. And I don't like New England, but I'd love to see 2 teams with young quarterbacks that show you can develop teams through the draft and hard work, because it's like what we do. There's no shortcut. You got to take the stairs.
That's right. That's right. And I have 2 kids in Chicago now, so the Chiefs out of it, I'm a Bears fan as well. And Luther Burden is a Mizzou grad, and he had a big night last night. He did drop a ball at the end, but he had a touchdown and over 100 yards. Hey, Brett, this has been a great conversation. I love your commitment to your firm, your integrity, client care, community. It sounds like you're doing everything right. If people want to get a hold of you or your firm, how can they do that?
you could just reach out to us at our website, which is hlgny.com, or our phone number 631-465-9797. And remember, I always tell people, be addicted to hope. And remember, be phenomenal. They don't make statutes of average people.
That's awesome. Hey, we'll put all that contact information in the show notes. And thank you again for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure and subscribe, share, and like. And join us next time when we'll continue breaking down the dollars, decisions, and disciplines behind successful law firms. Until next time, this is John Scott with Judicial Dollars and Cents. Thanks for joining us on Judicial Dollars and Cents, presented by Anders Virtual CFO Services. If you found value in today's conversation, be sure to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcast. To learn more about how Anders helps law firms strengthen their financial foundations and drive growth, visit anderscpa.com. Until next time, keep making smart decisions that make perfect sense.